Hey guys, it's Bridget with San Diego Seed Company, and today I want to answer a very common question that we get from all of our gardeners who are new to seed starting or new to gardening. They ask me all the time when they're looking at our calendar or any planting calendar, does that mean they're going to start from seed or transplant? I want to answer that question and make some really good clarifications for you so that you know exactly what you should be planting when, whether you should be planting it by seed or transplant, and where you are in the season and how to know what matters the most. But before I get into that, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button so you're notified anytime we put out a video. Okay, so let's hop into it. We've got this super rad, amazing planting calendar. And if you flip over to February, which is where we are now, you can actually see we've got what to plant in February, and there's tons of stuff on here. You'll notice broccoli, cabbage, cauliflower, they're listed on here, but there's a little asterisk, and if you look closely, it says succession plant. Now, what does that mean? Well, succession plant means that you've probably already, if you followed the calendar, you've already actually planted broccoli, cabbage, and cauliflower several times over throughout the season, because in February we are getting towards the end of our cool season, and it's marked by two significant factors. One, it's getting warmer. It's actually beautiful today. Two, daylight length is getting longer. The days are getting longer. Now, what does that mean for broccoli, cabbage, cauliflower, all the brassicas? Well, as you can see here, this starts to happen. These guys are actually wanting to go to flower. They are starting to open, and that's because weather temperatures are warmer, daylight length is getting longer. And so even though we've been eating off this broccoli for weeks and weeks and weeks, it's starting to get to the end of its season. Now, that doesn't mean as a gardener in zone 9 and 10, you can't grow broccoli, cabbage, or cauliflower. You absolutely can. But we're getting towards the end of that season, of cool season, and so you really need to have a jump start on it. So I wouldn't recommend starting by seed now. I would recommend starting by transplant. Another fabulous example is there was cauliflower here. We already ate it all. And we have more cauliflower over here that's been succession planted. So these were delicious and harvested, and we ate those. And now moving on, these were ones that were planted a little bit later. Look how perfect that is. Oh my God. That is beautiful. Wow. Anyways, gorgeous cauliflower. These are a little bit later. Now, so if you're a brand new gardener, you pick up our calendar or any planting calendar and it says, okay, February, you can grow broccoli, cabbage, cauliflower, and you go and you rush to start your seed. Unfortunately, it's a little too late to do that. A better idea would be able to get transplants, put them in the ground, because you've already basically gained 6, 7, 8 weeks of growing time because they've already grown up to a really good size. So the most important factor I want you guys to take away from this video is always ask yourself, where am I in the season? Now in San Diego County, we have 2 main seasons, and we have tons of videos about this if you want to learn more in depth, but as a quick little review, we've got warm season, which is when the days are longer and the temperatures are warmer, and that typically starts around March-ish and goes well into October for zone 9 and 10. Then we have our cool season, which isn't always cool, and that's from October throughout the rest of the year to about February or March. And basically, days are shorter and we have cooler temperatures, and if we're lucky, we have rain. So ask yourself when you're looking at the calendar, where am I in that season? If I'm heading towards the end of that season, then you might not have enough time to start any product from seed and get it growing happy and beautiful before the weather changes and they don't thrive. It's a really important pro tip for you guys out there if you're starting seeds. You know, right now we're in a funny time, we're in February, and yes, it's cool season, but I've already started my tomatoes. And we're already starting our spring stuff, and we're getting a jump on the next season. Okay, so let's go back to succession planting and actually look at some practical examples. So right here, we have cauliflower that was planted in October. We've already eaten it, it's gone. Then we've got over here, cauliflower that was planted in November, so about a month later, and these are about ready to be eaten. Then if you come over here, we actually have plants that were planted in December. Now these guys, look how puny they are. Very small. This is in part because they were planted in December. The soil temperatures are very cold, which means the plants don't grow as quickly, and the hours of sunlight are very short, so these are not going to grow very quick. Now we're in February, the days are going to start getting longer, which means that these are really going to take off. So as a new gardener, if you were to plant, let's say cauliflower in February by a transplant, they're going to stagnate for a little bit, and then as soon as those days get longer, they're going to grow very quickly. And in fact, they're going to grow so quickly that you have to harvest them. You have to really stay on top of when to harvest them, or they'll want to open up and flower very quickly. Remember that a plant's job, a sole job of a plant, is to go to flower and set its seed. It does that when the days are longer, because basically the daylight's telling the plant, hey plant, it's summertime. And after summer comes fall, and then winter comes. So you have to put your seeds out into the universe. That's actually the voice of the plant. That's how they sound when I hear it in my head. So anyways, that is what the sunlight is telling the plant to do, where it is in its biological stage, right? So remember, when you plant a cool season crop, at the end of cool season, moving into warm season, when the daylight gets longer, it's naturally going to want to go to flower and seed very quickly. It's your job as a gardener to stay on top of harvesting and utilizing that plant as much as you can before it's totally spent. You'll notice the same thing happens with lettuce. If you plant lettuce too late in the season, you'll absolutely get a beautiful plant, but then it'll get long and skinny and go to flower very quickly. When it starts to go to flower, the flavor really declines, and eating that lettuce, totally possible, but it's just not as good. So let me give you an actual example. Let's go look at a cool season plant that actually has gone to flower because the days are getting longer. Let's go. So here is a prime example. We've got some arugula here, and look what it's starting to do. It's getting long and lanky. That's an immature flower. It's going to open up. It's going to flower. That's happening because the daylight is getting longer. There's absolutely nothing you can do about it. There are things that you can do to try to slow this process down. In really warm areas, you can use shade cloth. That helps a little bit. Also, you can harvest heavily. So making sure that you basically are cutting the plant down and eating and harvesting that delicious leafy matter over and over and over again, just to slow down the process. But inevitably it's going to happen. And for most crops, that's just a sign that they're done, that they're ready to be pulled. In particular, arugula, it's done this time of year. It's time to start thinking about spring crops and making room for your warm season goodies.